All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 30th meeting of the Guymon City Council. I will be doing the prayer tonight, so please stand with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight and just come to ask for guidance as we have this meeting, and just please continue to watch over our city and let us make the best decisions possible. In your name I pray, amen. Amen. Mr. Peterson, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. Item 2, attendance roll call.
Egger,
Here.
Alvidrez,
Here.
Swager,
Here.
Livengood,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Mr. Wagner,
Here.
Mr. Petty.
Here.
Item 3, public comments and announcements. Any public comments or announcements? Item 4, approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, item 4.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Aye.
Egger,
Aye.
Alvidrez,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 5, presentation of proclamation declaring the week of May 19th through 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week. The proclamation. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, now therefore, I, Sean Livingood, the Mayor of Guymon, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week. With the theme EMS Strong, Beyond the Call, I encourage the community to observe this week with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you.
Sure. We have paramedic Captain Lane Dewar, paramedic firefighter Victor, we have EMT Janet, we have EMT Corey, EMR Corey,
We have paramedics Lieutenant OJ, we have paramedic Reedy, we have Assistant Chief Grant Watley, who's been a paramedic forever, pretty sure. How long has it been? 30 years. 30 years. Wow. And then we have Miss Susie, who keeps me together. Thank you all.
Item 6, 30-day review of dilapidated property located at 218 and 220 South James. Pictures are attached.
Good evening, guys. 218, 220, we actually had a success with that one. We did not have to remove the structure. If any of you guys have driven by or you see the pictures, the property was purchased by another individual, and he is taking all appropriate actions to remediate the property. He's already re-roofed it, he's ordered some windows, and he continues to move forward. Any questions?
Looks good.
Thank you. Item 7, discussion and possible action on approval of ordinance number 847, an ordinance amending section 7-105 of the Guymon Code of Ordinances to require prior approval of the city council for purchase costing more than $50,000, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith and declaring an emergency. Ordinance is attached. Discussion.
To me, this all comes down to a trust issue. We all know why this was changed in the past. We know why we made it 15K instead of 50K. It was a trust issue, and I think that the trust has been reinstilled, and I think this is a good idea. And those are my views on it.
Hey, Sergio, was the original number 50,000 or Mitch? The original approval?
It was
Yeah.
50,000.
Yeah.
I think it's been moved a few times. It's been moved around quite a few with past city managers. You know, from my standpoint, we allow Mitch to build us a $22 million budget annually. We approve that budget, so we're trusting him with our finances, managing our city. And so when you look at certain things, if you look on this agenda coming up, there is an item for scales at the transfer station. That currently is going to cost us $15,000 or a little over $15,000. We can't get that fixed until we have a council meeting or a meeting. We were about this close from getting hit with a tornado this past weekend. In an event where we need something to get fixed in a timely manner, and 3 of us are gone, we're stuck. There's nothing we can do. I think Mitch has done a great job in his role, and I think he's going to continue to do good things. And we've got to trust him as a city and as a council. And so that's kind of where I stand with this whole situation.
I think I can wrap my head around that too. From the industry I came from, and I think a lot of you guys too, 15,000 isn't much approval to run a city, to keep things moving. That won't buy you a set of backhoe tires. I think that needs to go up too.
I'll make a motion.
Well,
Well, go ahead.
nothing against Mitch or anybody else. I actually think we should be involved in purchases like vehicles and things like that, so we can go out for bid to make sure we're getting the best price possible instead of just writing a check for $40,000. I feel uncomfortable going from 15 to 50. I'd rather do it in increments, and because Mitch is still new on the job, and I would be more comfortable at a 20 to 25,000.
Would this allow Mitch to purchase something outside of a budgeted item?
Yes, it would.
I think this
I
falls,
can-
I think this falls under the budget.
I would,
Correct.
guys, I can,
So only
I would-
budgeted items. Go.
a little bit of clarification with that is, and you're exactly right, Larry, as it pertains to a vehicle. I could buy a vehicle now, I could break it into 2 increments and say, keep it at 14,900 and 14,900, and I could probably do that, but that's illegal.
Right.
and I won't do it. And that's kind of where I'm at. The same within a budgeted item. I could probably have done the same with the scales. You know, that broke last Monday at 5 o'clock in the morning. Lightning struck it, and we have been without scales at our transfer station for now 12 days.
Yeah,
I
but we were
could've-
never called for a special meeting.
Correct, but why should I have to have a special meeting on something I could just approve and keep going with so we can kind of move forward? I mean, I understand. See, you just said we'd approve it, but I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I'm just running it. And if it's in the budget that I built and you approve, that's a capital
But,
expense.
okay, for instance, there's not a budget of vehicle in the budget for the Parks Department this year, is that correct?
Everything that you approved in that budget was in capital. So you approved 2 cop cars.
2 cop cars,
They're in there.
right,
Correct.
but not a vehicle for the Parks Department.
Correct. I can't go out and buy a vehicle for the Parks Department. I mean, I can, but it's illegal.
That's what I'm saying, but if we give you the 50,000,
I could do it now, is what
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I know that, but I say, if we give you the 50,000, then it wouldn't be illegal. You could go buy,
No, it still would be. It's not a capital purchase. I can't do that.
that doesn't say that in the ordinance that we're ready to pass.
Right, but anything that's passed within the budget is capital. A car is capital. So the cars that y'all approved, the 2 police officer vehicles that were approved in the budget are stated as capital. That by law, yes, we
It
can go out
says
and
you
buy.
can, but the ordinance itself says, ordinance to require prior approval of the city council for purchase costing more than $50,000.
Correct.
It does not say anything about capital budget or budget items at all. So legally, under this ordinance, you could go out and buy anything you wanted for
Can we-
under $50,000.
Can we ask Mr. Petty his opinion? I'm pretty sure I'm not an attorney.
The items are budgeted. My view of it is if the council approves the budget at the first of the year, so those expenditures are already approved, be my view.
But it says right in the ordinance, every contract for or purchase of supplies, materials, equipment, or contractual services for more than 50,000 has to go before the council. It does not say anything less than 50,000 that's in the budget he can go buy.
Yeah.
It does not say that. So legally, he could go buy something for $49,999
Yeah,
and it'd be fine.
I'm not
So-
here,
so what
I'm
are
not
you-
here
what
to
are you-
debate
But
the ordinance.
What are you, I mean, what's the problem with him buying something that's gonna be on a consent agenda that is gonna pass before us later on at our council meeting?
It won't if we approve the next item, or the item number 8, it won't.
But it's got to be within the budget. If I go and exceed the budget, I am
Right.
termed to legal
But you can
responsibility.
cut back, you can buy that $50,000 or $49,000 vehicle and cut back in some other place in the budget and say you haven't overspent the budget.
Well,
But that's
But
within,
there's a possibility he could do that. But also there's a possibility if he does that, we have the ramification of reprimanding him or calling his hand on it. And we haven't seen that happen so far. I think we're hamstringing our employees by getting down to these small amounts of money and micromanaging myself.
I agree with Kim. It's highly inefficient at that amount.
And I think we've got to have a certain amount of trust in Mr. Mitchell, so, Mr. Wagner, so I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinances stated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Egger,
Aye.
Swager,
Nay?
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Item 8, discussion and possible action on approval of ordinance
We
number
need to
8.
declare it emergency.
Emergency clause.
I make a motion to declare item 8 an emergency.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Nay?
Egger,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Item 8, discussion and possible action on approval of ordinance number 848, an ordinance establishing an alternative Invoice payment process, providing invoice payment procedures, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith and declaring emergency. Attachment.
I think I just may have declared item 8 an emergency. That should have been 7. I apologize. Did I say 8 or 7?
I don't know.
I said, I'll say 7.
Any discussion on this item?
Mitch, will you give us a little clarification around this? Just
Sure. So the PO process and the way it runs currently is a change of going about within the red tape that we currently have of every PO comes before and prior approval on these purchases going forward. With this ordinance and the way it states is the PO process would be continual by approval of Lavona and myself. We would all have a current change in the process. Lavona and I talked about it earlier that we would probably tackle these weekly as opposed to once a month or twice a month. And we can continually pay the invoices as they come in, budgeted invoices that come in.
so it will expedite our process for payment
It will.
substantially, it sounds like.
Yes. It's weekly as opposed to right now bi-monthly.
But there will be a review at the next council meeting of the invoices you paid.
Yeah, it's advisory to y'all at that point. It doesn't take the action of council.
Any other discussion?
I've got a couple examples I can give you that, because we did have them in front of the council prior to being approved. One of them was, that we did, was the cameras that was bought 4 years ago for a little over $3,000. And I went online and looked them up and found out that you could get 2 of them for about $1,200 instead of $3,000. And the reason I brought that up, and we went ahead and approved them because they'd already been purchased and delivered, but it was to show the people that they needed to look around and make sure they were getting the best possible deal for the citizens and their money. The second one was back in 2015, when there was an item on the consent agenda concerning surveillance equipment out at the golf course. And we asked the city manager at the time what that was for, and she informed us that it was for security purposes for the pro shop. So we approved that night. We found out later on that surveillance equipment was actually a swing analyzer for the golf pro that she had hired. We did not accept, we terminated that agreement then. We didn't, but it took us forever to get our first payment back, that's $7,000. And if we wouldn't have caught that, we would have had a golf analyzer machine out at the golf course for over $30,000. And I think that's part of our job, is to make sure we're physically responsible for the citizens of Guymon. In fact, that is our primary job. And I think going ahead and having somebody else do our job, then we don't need to be here.
So to your camera comment, we couldn't have stopped that anyway because he can approve 15,000 now.
No, I realize that.
But I think if we don't, I think it's back to what Sergio, I think, said, if we don't trust Mitch, I mean, he's not Kim Meeks. I think that's who you said did the golf deal. I mean, that would have eventually got caught at some point, how that was spent.
I think one thing to keep in mind with this whole, with the items that people have concerns about is one, we haven't had any issues to this point. I can't tell the future. Two, Mitch isn't our previous city manager.
That's true. But yeah, I have had a few questions on purchase orders.
Okay.
I've just done it in private instead of here. I'll make sure I'll
And that's
start
fair.
doing it here.
That's fair. The other thing is, is if we decide this isn't working and we don't like it, then it doesn't say we can't go back. But I just
That's true.
don't see why this is an issue. I mean, yes, it's our duty to stay within the budget and make sure what we're purchasing is in the best interest of the community and the city. But it's also in the best interest of the city manager who's invested in this community to do that. From what I'm gathering, our previous city manager had no interest to do what's best for the city. She didn't even live here. So I think we're going in circles
It's kind of an
with,
unfair.
with an unfair debate with our city manager, comparing him to someone who did a insufficient job and went about things the wrong way. And so
I
that's.
would say this regardless of who was the city manager right now. If we were debating this right now with anybody, I wouldn't care who it was.
Well, you made a comment that our job as city council was to manage the city's budget in the way we feel.
Financial responsibility,
responsibility.
yeah.
I will also tell you our job is to make sure the city's running efficiently.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like,
That's really not our job, that's his job.
no, it's our job too. If we
I
can
think
give
we
him
have
the
to give him the
tools to do
tools.
it,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
we got to give it to him. I
We
think
have to-
anybody who's operated in a PO system can tell you how cumbersome and the man hours it takes to do
It is
it.
cumbersome.
And I think
And will
when,
continue in the PO system.
but I don't
That's not
think,
gonna change.
but I don't think it's fair to judge Mitch on previous manager
I'm not.
experience. And I also think it's our job to make the city as efficient as possible.
Right. We need to work towards that efficiency to keep our employee as proficient at his job as he can be. That's my opinion.
Any other discussion items on that? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 848, ordinance establishing alternate invoice payment process, providing invoice payment procedures, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and declaring an emergency. Item 8.
I second it. Item 8.
I have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Nay?
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Egger,
Aye.
Livingood.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
I make a motion we declare item 8 an emergency.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Nay?
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Egger,
Aye.
Livingood.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Item 9, discussion and possible action on approval of ordinance number 849, an ordinance amending section 2-202 of the Guymon Code of Ordinances, providing a time of the regular meeting of the Guymon City Council, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance is attached.
I have had some public concerns on this. Some of those concerns involve that the public would not be aware of anything that came up, if it were to come up. Other concerns is not that the city wouldn't run as efficiently as it could if we went to one meeting a month. My opinion is that we're not doing away with special meetings, right? And there's been months where we have 4 or 5 meetings. I think staff time is the amount of time that staff spends on getting council meetings ready for us plays a big factor in this, and it's not set in stone.
I've visited with well over 30 people, business owners, individuals, and not one of them thought this was a good idea. And in fact, we had a few of them, I've had a few of them say that we ought to be meeting weekly. So,
Is that because they're showing up and talking here, or is that because they don't realize how many meetings we have?
they really didn't say, they just, they're concerned, and I am too, as far as the public and the transparency for the public. about just one meeting a month. And, yeah, we've had special meetings in the past, and I think if we pass this tonight, we're going to have a lot more special meetings.
Is there other cities doing this, Mitch? I mean, you would know.
It's
Correct. Woodward does it.
a lot- it's a big
I believe Enid does.
Is it a
I
40,
I can't remember if El Reno does one or two, but those are the three that I'm pretty tight with, those three cities with my city manager friends.
is it a 48-hour meeting notice for a special meeting? It is, right? 48 hours? So there's still a 48-hour notice that would go out if we did not, if this did not run efficiently.
That's law. You have to.
That's correct.
And you've already
but-
set your agenda for the year.
That's correct.
So everything,
So say something over 50,000 since item 7 was passed.
okay,
Comes along and is missed by staff. So we would have, it would go back on on the agenda on a Tuesday. Is that correct, Lalona?
No.
If we had the meeting on Thursday and it was skipped, that would give Friday, Monday.
No, because we're not doing the typical process that we used to. We'll
Okay.
continue to pay our invoices all throughout the month. So if we did miss that one week, we'd just pick it up the next week.
he's saying,
Over 50.
If we missed it and paid it,
No, if we missed it and it's under that $50,000 threshold,
under,
Under?
right? Under, or sorry, over.
okay.
It's over that $50,000 threshold.
We'd
So
have
you
to
got
pay it.
Friday, Monday, Tuesday would be your special meeting.
Yeah.
I think from a transparency standpoint, this doesn't change our meeting setup. If someone misses a meeting, they miss the meeting. They miss the entire agenda. If they need to speak, they can come and speak, but
This way, they have 2 opportunities a month to do it, though. If we do this, they have 1 month.
right,
Once
but
a
if
month.
they miss what they need to speak about the first meeting, then that agenda item's gone and we're on to the next one.
Right.
And so they miss the meeting anyway, so they're only gonna catch the one meeting a month. You know, when you look at our efficiency from a staff standpoint, we spend 2 weeks just getting this one packet ready. They're just piled up, they're working late hours, it's inefficient. Livona's swamped, you go into her office, there's just stuff everywhere because she can't keep up. Nothing against you, Livona, I'm just saying she can't keep
No,
up
but-
because there's too much going on.
She is training the new,
Correct.
Well, you know,
Person.
my opinion is that one meeting a month seems to work quite adequately for the school board. A lot of, as you've mentioned, several towns downstate, but there's more and more of them are going to a monthly meeting because they find they can accomplish more work in the same amount of work, they just do it once a month. And I don't agree with the transparency factor. I think it'll stay as transparent as it can be when you have 1 or 2. And, most people that are aware of what we do here, that have an interest in our meetings, keep up with the agendas anyway, and if we call for a special meeting, they'll know about it.
Any other,
there's one other thing I'd like to bring up. You know why most classes are 50 minutes long?
people can only focus X amount of time?
That's right. And if we do, like last meeting was a little over an hour and a half, this meeting's probably gonna be an hour and a half. We're gonna be here 3 hours or maybe longer at that one meeting a night. So after the first hour, everybody's gonna check out mentally, and we're gonna have 2 more hours of meetings to continue.
You said 50 minutes, and now we're looking at 80.
Well-
We've had 2 80-minute meetings, so they've already checked out, in my opinion.
Well,
And we're spending 3 hours 2 times.
that's what I'm saying, an hour and a
in
half
one,
last
instead of
time.
spending a 3-hour
Yeah.
meeting 1 time a month.
Well, I get what you're saying, Larry.
And I don't disagree with you. I understand where you're coming from.
But, I mean, we're all adults, or, you know, we should be adults, and we should keep paying attention if it involves our city
Yep.
and our livelihood. And we just have to be good stewards of, you said it yourself, fiscally responsible.
Any other discussion? Motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 9.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Egger,
Aye.
Swager,
Nay?
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Item 10, discussion.
Emergency.
Oh, sorry, we need to declare emergency.
Make a motion to declare an emergency.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Egger,
Aye.
Swager,
Nay?
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Item 10, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 850, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the city of Guymon, Oklahoma, of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Guymon, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and declaring emergency. Ordinance is attached. Any discussion?
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 850, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the city of Guymon, Oklahoma, of the Code of Ordinance and the city of Guymon, providing for severability and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith.
I second it.
Have a motion and a second.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Egger.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Declare an emergency. Make a motion to declare an emergency.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second.
Egger.
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 11, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 19-07, accepting beneficial interest in the Texas County 911 Trust Authority on behalf of the city of Guymon. Staff report is attached.
You all should have in front of you a trust indenture to replace our current interlocal agreement. We've been working on the current document for several months now. The City of Guymon and Texas County 911 previously operated under an interlocal agreement from 1993. The agreement is very outdated, and we do not follow that agreement today. There's a lot of state statute changes on how we receive 911 funds, including wireless and landline. And so the goal of the 911 board has been to bring everything under a public trust. This would be a city-county trust. Texas County and the City of Guymon would be the two entities with the beneficiaries. The document has been, it was written by Crow and Dunleavy on behalf of the Texas County 911 Board. And then we had Mr. Petty and Mike Boring both vet the document and make some corrections and changes to the document. It went in front of our commissioners a couple weeks ago, was approved by the county commissioners, and at that time, all the trustees signed the document. It's a 7-member board. City of Guymon has 3 members, the fire chief, the city manager or assistant city manager, and the police chief. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
No.
Motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
Thank you.
Item 11.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Egger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
I've got 5 ayes.
Item 12, discussion and possible action on approval of invoice number 1 in the amount of $78,716.16 to Libra Electric Company for the Guymon Runway Lighting and Odell's project for the Guymon Municipal Airport. Invoice is attached.
This is payment on the grant we've received from
The grant we
OAC.
received from the OAC and the FAA on the work that is being currently done at the
Make a
lighting
motion.
project.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second.
Swager.
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 13, discussion and possible action on approval of invoice number 2 in the amount of $158,539.15 to Libra Electric Company for the Guymon Runway Lighting and Odell's project for the Guymon Municipal Airport.
I make a motion to approve item 13.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
Egger,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item number 14, discussion and possible action on approval of agreement between the City of Guymon and Hornbeak Blatt Architects for the purpose of interior renovation to the second floor of the Guymon City Hall building for office and interview spaces for the Guymon Police Department. Report is attached.
So I asked Mitch to put this back on the item, or back on the agenda this week for sure. I think it came across last week that I was against the police department moving up here. I am not, and I would like to make a motion to approve this not to exceed $10,000 for Hornbeak and Black.
Now, is this just for the drawings?
For the architectural plans for the renovations that we would do on a couple
Upstairs.
soundproof rooms and a few moving of walls, electrical, some HVAC, and that's about really it. I mean, we're not doing total.
Is this required by statute that we
Well-
have a licensed architect draw the plans?
I don't know about the statute, Larry, but I think the hard part would be is I can't,
He can't go out for bid.
I can't go out for bid. I can't get anybody to do this without
Okay.
somebody having a set of plans, because I don't see anybody that would bid on it just by me going up and saying, hey,
But we couldn't
move a few
have
things.
like Floyd Calm draw plans or,
Well, that's,
I guess, I watched the meeting last time, I wasn't here, but Tony Blatt, and he's had a structural engineer come in, all of the drawings for this building are in his database. So his staff can pull that up, and they can, on their CAD program, put in walls, do whatever they want. But then he can also come up with the specifications and requirements. But since we're not looking at a construction manager at risk, we're just looking at getting it done, well, then he can guide us into dividing it up to say, we want to bid just on the HVC, just on the interior wall stuff, just on the plumbing. We could divide it up into 3 bid packages if we wanted to by doing it this way, rather than just putting it out for one blanket bid, is my understanding. But all his stuff is in place, it's done, and it's, you know,
Do you remember what the number was on that contract, Mitch? On the
was-
one we saw initially, was it
It was
15?
$5,000 for the initial stuff,
Uh-huh.
$1,000 an hour for every trip, and $165 an hour while he was here, not to include motels. So that's why I come up with the $10,000 number. They can draw up the plans, we can go out and get a bid, however we do it with, a CMAR or whatever. I still think it's good to have them involved to say, hey,
Yeah.
just to cut costs along the way. And as I said last time, I think the plan for the police department to move up here is a great plan if you really understand the cost to bring the other police department up. So that's how I came up with that number and that motion. And so, and I'll own it, I turned it down last time. I get it.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, who made the second?
Mr. Alvedras.
Peterson,
aye.
Swager,
aye.
Egger,
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Living Good.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 15, discussion and possible action on approval of production agreement between Data Pros LLC and the City of Guymon.
Mitch, how many, as I read through this, how many man-hours would you save with something like this? Do you have a guesstimate?
based off of what we do twice a month, because we
Yeah.
have 2 different billing cycles. It's extensive, especially on billing day, just because we have the machine that is a dinosaur that is falling apart, and there's times you have to work your magic to make sure it goes. And that's kind of the basis of this and where it all came about, whether we spend money on us buying internally a new machine that's going to cost more, or to do it within a sourcing like we have with Data Pros. And there are numerous other municipalities that do have the same contract with them. They're not too far from us. It's a different way of looking at it. We download it on a file of everything, and then it's immediate sent to them. They print it off, and then it's out. So it might be even faster than our current billing cycle that we have at this point, because everything we have is shipped off and then comes back. This, it's electronic, they print it up, they send it, it might be faster, we just don't know.
Would there be a cost savings to this?
There is a cost savings long-term if we go this route, as opposed to what it is we're looking at buying, because the machine is on its last leg, and the man-hours that we're using currently, we could be more efficient using those somewhere else, downloading a file and sending it. We don't have the headache of going through that process and then hoping the machine works. So that's kind of where this all came about.
And just as long as that file's correct.
Correct. Well, yes. I mean, the file will be correct. And the other thing I liked about it was you can modify it on our side of any sort of city notices you want to get out. You know, you want to give verbiage or wording on it of some sort, you can put that in there within your file that you send to these people that print it off and send it out. So I really like that.
And this agreement's good till the end of the year?
Mhm.
Okay. Then it'll be renewed in January or
If y'all
December,
approve,
right?
yeah.
Any other discussion?
No, I make a motion for the possible action to approve the production agreement between Data Pros LLC and the City of Guymon.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Egger.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Living.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 16, discussion and possible action to approve a Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Worksite Agreement with the Western Oklahoma Workforce between the City of Guymon and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Park Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Street Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Sanitation Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Library Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Golf Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce, and between the City of Guymon's Fire and Ambulance Department and the Western Oklahoma Workforce. Report.
So this is, yeah. So this was something that
Can you
Sergio.
reread that?
Well, maybe one more
Loya
time.
brought up. It was a program that I was unaware of, basis off of internships or summer help, or somebody you just want to start out in a program. It's really quite wonderful. Up to 520 hours through this program is paid from the Oklahoma Workforce Commission, not the City of Guymon. And it's on a, it's kind of like your probationary period, but somebody else is footing the bill for it. And it's a great way to get summer help or internships that, you know, people that are, the big one, and Sergio was a young lady who is interested in government, who is at Panhandle State, who wants to work here for the summer. And she was just coming on the basis of trying to learn, and it turns out that within her internship program, we can actually give her some funding to complete tasks for the City of Guymon on someone else's dollar. So that's a credit on this one.
So they would reimburse us basically for
No, we
13
just
weeks.
push it through. It's all
2
theirs. They pay it directly, and
So for
that's
13
even better.
weeks.
520 hours, once they get to
Okay.
that threshold, that program is over. So
Do we advertise for the positions that we need, or does it go through the workforce?
we get both, actually. Whether there's somebody that comes into the Workforce Commission, she can direct them our way and say, well, I've got this person who is looking, or whether it's somebody that we have, we can funnel it through that. It's just a pass-through for the most part, but it's a great program, and I think we should utilize it. And
Is there any age restriction? I mean, can you hire?
we have an age restriction on the City of Guymon, and we've actually looked at that in the
What
last
is
couple
that?
weeks. Right now, it's currently at 18.
Bless you.
Thank you. So it's a great program, and I ask, you know, for council approval on it, and I say thank you to Sergio for bringing it up. He did great on it. So he's been the legworks of it all.
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 16.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Egger.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Living.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 17, discussion and possible action on awarding bid for mowing and cleanup of abated property at 902 North Lelia.
Hello again, guys. As administrative hearing officer for the city, on April 23rd, I entered an order of determination on 902 North Lelia. At that time, we also advertised for bids. We received 2 bids. One withdrew after he realized the scope of the project, and the other one is for $6,500, and we feel that is excessive for the amount of scope that is there. So the city would like to utilize other resources to actually abate that property, and I request that you guys reject that bid.
Any other questions?
No. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seemed kinda high.
What's that?
Seemed
Seemed
kinda
high.
I make a motion that we do not award any bids on item 17.
A second?
I have a motion and a second.
Peterson?
Aye.
Egger?
Aye.
Alvedras?
Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Livengood?
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 18, discussion and possible action on approval of a quote for roof repair for the Oklahoma Highway Patrol Building.
I noticed in the staff recommendations that, do you have any idea how much more repair we're going to have to do on that building?
We're getting there. We're getting there. I'm going to let Justin talk to you.
Looks like the primary leaks around the building are kind of around the edge or the perimeter just inside. There is one leak in the area that we would have dispatch move into, and so we definitely need that
Right.
mitigated before we move brand-new equipment into there. I went ahead and obtained 3 quotes, and PTCI had recommended a couple of contractors. I had used one at OEDA that Tri-County had also used. Rugged is one of the contractors. This is probably a small job for them. They usually do large commercial buildings in Oklahoma City. They had done the OEDA building in Hooker last year, and I called over there just to see if they're happy. They still are. I know they did Tri-County Electric's entire new facility after that hailstorm that hit there. And then Clark Roofing is the other quote, I believe out of Amarillo, and then Southwest. Southwest had actually done a quote for Highway Patrol about a year ago. He has not been back on site. He just updated that quote for the city of Guymon. Rugged is the only one, I believe, that did do a quote for the second structure over there, the garage that Highway Patrol uses. I talked to Highway Patrol last week, and they said that building does not leak currently. So just the primary building is the one that's the main concern now.
How much more are we going to have to put into this building? It says, we believe that other repairs and equipment maintenance issues will be required in the future.
We do. Some of that addresses the emergency generator that has been there for a period of time. It is up and running. There is some work that we know is going to come, changing of the belts, for example. So there is some preventive maintenance that is going to come. But we're considering there's some renovations. Not sure what that's cost, but that building needs a little tender loving care and needs to become up to par for us to use.
Okay.
At the beginning of the fiscal year, I don't think we knew that we owned that building. So we're sort of running to catch up on this.
So that's where we intend to have the 911
Correct.
eventually.
Yes, that's the goal.
Consolidated center.
And the highway patrol will still be there?
OHP runs the other 65% of the building. The E911 Consolidated Center would be in the other 35% of it. And
Are they paying us a lease now?
They are.
But they
OHP
weren't
is.
originally.
correct. So that's,
Because we
the
had-
basis of this, and you're exactly right. When the budget was put together, we didn't even, I had no clue that we owned the building. So, and I think 10 years past, no one knew that we owned the building, so it's just kind of been up in the air. The basis of that is that we do own the building, and Mr. Petty did a lot of work to figure that out. And we did find a contract that was approved, I guess, in the last 2 or 3 months with OHP based off that. So they are actually paying rent now. But we didn't know exactly that they had the building and how much might be wrong with it
It's a
at that
brand new
point.
lease.
But you're gonna have to do some things to bring it up to standard.
If that's
for our
going to
people.
be 911 headquarters, you need to have a reliable generator.
Almost redundant sense of
Yeah,
electricity.
definitely. So
Yeah,
there's
we've got-
going to be a lot of costs there.
Generator is functional, but, the belts are original, 1995, I believe, is when that was put in, somewhere around that time. So belts, it needs service, needs new batteries, needs a new charger. And so that's another thing, before we can move into that center, that's definitely got to be brought
Yes.
up to speed. I can't give you an exact date. We're working towards an October date.
I think that's what Mr. Swagger was asking, if the
Well, and
total.
I think one thing I would
estimate.
like to see is, and I think the city has a mechanic, but run a compression test. What do we got in that generator? How's it set? Valves, rings, where it's just setting? See what that cost is gonna be, but I mean, it's gonna be cheaper at the end of the day than building one, I'm sure.
Yeah, Northwest Line had looked at the generator, and that's who had told us that it was gonna need some maintenance. The maintenance has been deferred on it a long time. But we did do a test, it did power up, and it's not doing its self-start test, it should do every week. That's another requirement we'll have to have for 911. So
It
there's-
powered up, but did it carry the load?
Yeah, there was not a load test. We've got to do a load test before then also.
Okay.
So, You're probably gonna hear about this building again.
Yes.
Moving up, we need to plan for it, but you know what, we're on the way there.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I did go out last Monday after the rain. I got a phone call and I did look at the leak. The window, even the doors are I don't know what you call them, but they're coming in with the significant amount of rain and wind that we
Okay.
had, so.
Like if we put money into it, I don't know a number, I hate to say, but with the leases and the things we're doing and the different stuff, what does the payout look like to have that up to par?
What do you mean the payout about the
So,
car?
so when you put the 911 center in there, I think some of the other counties possibly could be paying for some of that, right?
Correct.
Is that some cost we could push to them, or is it?
Oh, yeah. Justin, we haven't signed a lease agreement with E911 at this point, so take that into consideration with the cost, and you
Okay.
can apply it to Justin's bill, and they can pay for it. But no, I'm not.
You know where I'm going.
I do what you know
Share
what you mean.
costs.
It is the process of it is that we are going in based off of what y'all approved 2 items ago. It's consolidated amongst the county and the city to get this ball rolling, and since the other counties out there are paying their fair share of it, they're only Cimarron County has 2 that dispatch 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. I would think they'd want to come in for our use of what we've built along with the county. And instead of, I'm not saying they'll do away with those positions, but we're hoping that everybody jumps on and gets involved with this to where it's not, the brunt of it isn't being carried by the county and the city of Guymon. So yes, I think it is, your best option is this location based off of the agreement. We worked with OHP, even though we do have some issues with the building, to fix it and go forward. And then I think there'll be better maintenance in the future on a building that we own compared to somebody that didn't particularly have to take care of a building. So just that's as nice as I can say it. I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion, I don't know, for Rugged to come in and do that, because they also,
They asked for approval of.
Yeah, it's which quote did you recommend?
Southwest.
Southwest.
I'm familiar with Rugged, that's something I've dealt with. I think there's 3 quotes there. I think Southwest, Alabama was the highest, and then I think Rugged. And the one out of Liberal is probably still a good quote. I just know it's been a little while since he's seen the building, maybe 6 months or a year, I'm not real sure.
but Rugged had quoted to redo the garage, and Southwest has.
Also, yes. And it's a separate, I believe it's 3,000 separate. They
Yeah,
have 2.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's at 17 grand.
17 grand is rugged.
But it includes the garage.
No, that's the
No,
building
then the
one.
garage is 3,000 more.
So you're looking at 20.
Yeah. The other, and I believe the garage is 3612,
Yeah.
and I believe.
Looking at 20,000.
Southwest bid was 14,000.
And 17,000 on the main.
But the other building, you said it didn't need it. It was good to go.
Well, I asked Eric Brown, and he said that, to his knowledge, they had not had a leak, or I asked the secretary, and she had asked him, so.
2,800 cheaper. That's who they.
I think they were probably roofed at the same time prior. They, looks like they probably had the original roof, and they've done a seal coat probably 8-10 years ago.
14,28, 14,280, the Southwest bid.
That's what
I'll make a motion that we approve the Southwest roofing bid of 14,280 as recommended by staff.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Egger,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 19, discussion and possible action to declare 4 public transit buses as surplus and allow the city manager to use discretion for method of disposal.
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 19.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Aye.
Egger,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 20, discussion and possible action to approve budget amendment number 2 for the general fund to increase $115,000.
And that is for,
So there's another one. The 15,000 is part of the roof for OHP that we did not know we owned when we made the budget to fix, along with, and I'll be honest, when I was building the budget in October, I did not take into effect the abatement process. I didn't know if we would even have code enforcement for the year of 2019, but I don't anticipate using all that money, but I'd rather just do one fell swoop. That is from the GUA, moved into that. I was in contact with Marcy to find the money for the time being on abatement process. With we using it, I can say your money will come back. It's just a longer term way of getting about to you within that process.
will you explain that process real quick?
So, let's say you have an abatement process, and you go through and you as a council make the decision to follow through, and just take the one item that was on earlier, and you approve that bid, even though Sean mentioned it is excessive and he rejected it. If you had approved it, we hired that contract company to go out and clean the property. They do it. At that point, the city of Guymon pays them out of that $100,000 that you're transferring. That's the fund it will be pulled from. That is applied to the lien on the property going forward. So the tax rolls is where it's applied to, where we would get the money back eventually down the road.
After property sold.
Yeah. I believe I said that right. Mr. Petty, did I say that right?
That's close.
No, close. I'll take close.
Yeah, there's a notice procedure, and if the owner doesn't clean it up, the city cleans it up either with its own labored equipment or puts out a bid, and then that amount is certified to the county clerk and the county treasurer, and goes on tax rolls and gets recovered eventually, hopefully.
And I guarantee you, code enforcement is alive and well.
They've been over your house.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 20.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Egger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Any new business, item 21? Nope. Item 22 will stand adjourned as the Guymon City Council.
You want my paper copy?
No, we're good, it's loading.
Maybe that's a bug that just affects mayors'
Yeah, it just
iPads.
affects mayors. I'd like to call this meeting to order as the Guymon Utilities Authority. Item 2, done. Item 3, discussion and possible action on approval of payment of $37,250 to Top Shelf Trailers and remit one half of the payment at the time of placing the order.
This was approved at the last council meeting. I just need y'all's approval to continue and actually do the invoicing at this point.
Make a motion that we approve item 3.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second.
Egger.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Livengood.
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 4, discussion and possible action on approval of contract quote in the amount of $15,706 and not to exceed $16,206 from Travis Scale Company for replacement of scales at the sanitation station and remit payment upon completion of work.
That really doesn't.
I make a motion that we approve item number 4.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second.
Alvedras.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Egger. Living Good?
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 5, discussion and possible action on approval of invoice number 0000261-236 in the amount of $30,656.21 to Seward County Landfill for general trash removal for the month of April 2019.
I make a motion, we approve item 5.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Swager?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Egger?
Aye.
Alvedras?
Aye.
Living Good?
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 6, discussion and possible action to approve budget amendment number 2 for the Guymon Utilities Authority for an increase of $100,000.
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 6.
That's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Correct. It's just
I
moving
seconded
from
it.
one. Oh.
I have a motion and a second.
Alvedras?
Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Egger?
Aye.
Living Good?
Aye.
We've got 5 ayes.
Item 7, new business. Item 8, reports from the city manager and council members.
Want to say anything, or you just want me to? Next week is the Jim Hitch Memorial Golf Tournament. That starts and kicks off Thursday. And I was contacted by News Channel 4 out of Amarillo. They will be in town next Thursday for they do some sort of road trip of live studios. And they are going to be here Thursday evening for the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock showing. And they will be out at the golf course pavilion to do their live show, so it should be nice with the new background that we've got out there. Good to go. So, also, we have a new hire, and I told her to go ahead and get on the road because she's got to get back to Houston. We've hired a new economic development director, and her name is Sheila Martin. She's actually coming back and starting June the 10th, but she was in town this week, and she asked if she needed to wait. I said, no, get on the road because it's a 10, 11-hour trip back to Houston, but she's in the process of moving, so that's all I got.
I'd like on our next, talk about our next meeting is going to be the second Tuesday of June, or is it going to be,
Correct.
it will be the second Tuesday of June? Okay. I would like on having a discussion item concerning maybe quarterly reports as far as financial reports, so we kind of have an idea where we stand financially. And I'd also like to have on the agenda evaluation from the city manager.
Okay.
So the next meeting will be the 11th to start backwards. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
No other reports?
Hold on, please.
I do have a question why Sergio searches his phone since all mine's on paper.
Well, I have it up. It's just making sure that it's correct.
It was brought to my attention that there's a law in the city of Guymon that you cannot have tobacco on any city premises. Is that correct or not?
That was passed, I believe, last year or the year before that?
And then do we enforce that? Do we not?
No.
Are we in any kind of violation?
It's a resolution that passed for the TC.
Okay. And the T said,
I mean, if you want, Mitch, we don't enforce it, though. I mean, we
I
can't
thought
really
there
police
was
that.
$100 fine.
Oh, no, I'm not saying there's not a fine associated with it. I just that's not really in the forefront of the police to go around looking for that.
so is there any liability on us for that?
I guess if you want to,
No, this was a concerned citizen.
I don't know. I can't answer that. That'd be a petty question on the liability. I don't know on somebody that's,
Did hear your question.
About the tobacco use on, is that just on city property or how does that?
yes, that was based off of a grant that was awarded from the
TSET.
TSET, yeah, TSET grant.
Yeah, I don't think we have an ordinance. I think ours is by resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a state law that concerns use of public tobacco in public places, government buildings.
Any building that's used for meeting purposes.
I I don't know that it covers, I don't know if it's all public buildings or there's government buildings. But I know the rules about,
We can't hear back here.
probably have the fire chief tell us about
He
He's
stepped
gone.
out.
He stepped out.
He got a call.
Any other reports?
I'll check it and let you know.
I was asked about that today. so.
Any other reports?
June 11th is perfect.
All right, we will stand adjourned as the Guymon Utilities Authority. Thank you, everyone.